Hello, my name is Garrett Bostic, and this is my eGuard term project for CIS 285. So the description, the eGuard software is designed for parents who want to protect their children from unhealthy things that may be on the internet, and parents who want to control how much their children use the internet. And the eGuard does this by blocking unhealthy websites from being accessed using a database, and allows parents to shut down the internet during times of their choosing. Parents can carefully monitor their children in order to see what types of things they are viewing to see if it's okay with them, and many settings can be modified by the parents in order to get a configuration that they are comfortable with. So for requirements, we have functional requirements, which are allow parents to change settings. The system needs to block unhealthy websites. Parents need to be able to check activity, and it needs to check authorization, and also remove unhealthy words from search engines. And if a suspicious activity comes about, it needs to send a snapshot of the behavior to the account holder. And then also at the end of the day, it needs to sync the database with the remote server database to make sure it's up to date. So non-functional requirements, the eGuard just needs to be secure, so there's no loopholes that viruses can get through or anything like that. The load time should be short, and so websites must be blocked before they are loaded. So if it's an unhealthy website, it can't pop up and then be blocked. It needs to be blocked before it pops up. So use cases, we have check activity. So in this, the user wants to check if the child web activity. So they log into the eGuard. The user then clicks on check activity. The user selects web from the list, and the eGuard then displays their child's web activity. For the next use case, it's check authorization. User wants to access the eGuard, so the user types in their ID and password. The eGuard checks their ID and password to see if they're authorized to access it, and their information has authorization and allows to access the eGuard. At the end of the day, the system checks to see if changes were made to the database on the remote server, and this is for the database use case. And the system then sees what changes were made, and the database on the remote server is copied to the local database. So this is remove word, which is just removing unhealthy words. So a kid is doing research for a project which may bring up unhealthy words on the search engine. So when the kid uses the search engine, the eGuard checks for unhealthy words in the results, and the eGuard found some unhealthy words and removes them from the results. This is settings, configure settings use case. So user wants to see what time the internet to shut off, and so the user logs into the account, and the user selects configure settings. The user chooses internet time control, and the user chooses the time that the internet should shut down. And then we have the suspicious activity use case. So the child has some suspicious activity occurring, and a screenshot of their computer is taken, and the screenshot is sent to the account holder's email and text if provided. The last use case is block, which blocks unhealthy websites. So the user wants to go to a website, so he types in the address in the browser. The eGuard blocks the website, but the user does not want it to be blocked. So the user removes the website from the eGuard blacklist, and then the user tests to see if he can go to the website, and he can, and the website loads. This is just a class diagram. So the eGuard has 6 classes. The first is authorization, which can check to see if users are authorized to access features on the eGuard. Second is suspicious activity, which will take a screenshot and send it to the account holder's email or text. The third is view activity, which allows parents to view things like web activity and email. The fourth is block, which just blocks websites from being viewed if they are unhealthy. Fifth is settings. This allows users to change preferences. And the final class is database, which checks the database at the end of the day to see if the remote server database has been updated. If so, it will update the local database. So sequence diagram. So this diagram is just showing the sequence of adding a keyword to the block list. This diagram shows the sequence of views a child web activity. So state diagrams. This diagram shows different states for database class. And this one just shows the different states for the settings class. And the final one shows the different states for the view activity class. So activity diagrams. This diagram shows the activity of setting a control time for the internet. So you enter the eGuard, choose a setting option, select the internet time control, select time for the internet to shut down. This diagram shows activity of suspicious activity being detected and sent to account holder. So suspicious activity is located, a snapshot is taken, and an email or text is sent to this of the snapshot. The last activity diagram. This diagram shows the activity of viewing a child's email. So you enter the eGuard, choose the view activity, select email, and then that's it. So finally, we have the deployment diagram. So this just shows, so the device is the computer, and the eGuard is on the computer. This is the software. eGuard has an interface, so you can view activities and set your settings and stuff. And the eGuard is connected to a remote server, which it checks at the end of the day to make sure the database is synced and up to date. And yep, that's it. If you have any questions, please email me.